Hi, everybody. I'm Kevin Falvey, editor-in-chief of Boating Magazine, and this is Boating Roundtable. Today, I'm very happy to have for our guest, Garrett Koshak. Garrett is Global Product Manager for Manitou Pontoons, and he's coming to us from BRP headquarters in Sturtevant, Wisconsin. Garrett, good morning.
Good morning, Kevin. How you doing today?
Doing just great, doing just great. We're always excited when we get aboard Manitou Pontoons. They deliver a high level of quality and performance. What's new for Manitou Pontoons? What can people expect from Manitou Pontoons in 2021?
That's a great question. This year we have three really cool new updates that we made to the lineup. We have addressed the bottom end of our lineup, the entry-level high-value segment in our Aurora LE. We've given that model the most updates it's ever received. We've had some updates to our hull that we can address a little bit later. We've added some options packages instead of a laundry list of a la carte options. And we've gone to a new model, which is a combination of two previous models, the Legacy and the Explode, made that our LX model, which really targets our high-end sport model customers.
Wow, that's interesting. And Explode, that's the high-end performance model, is that correct?
Yeah, that's the one that you see that's got bright orange, bright green, ripping across the water, single or dual engine, wakeboard tower. That is the epitome of what Manitou is known for. But what we really tried to do this year is take that level of quality and prove that it's been in our lower end models as well, and really show that Manitou isn't just for that ultra high-end customer. We've got something for everybody.
Can you tell us, what's the most popular model in the lineup?
The most popular model in our lineup is actually our Aurora LE, 23-foot with our Value Performance V-Tune hull in an RF configuration, which is our rear facing. So that's your traditional 2 benches up front, 2 benches in the back, helm chair, co-captain's chair. It's something to the tune of 30+% of our volume is that one particular model. And that was even before we gave that model our most level of upgrades we've ever given, which what we've done for model year 21.
Wow, okay. Can you talk about the RF a little bit? Can you talk about the rear facing? I mean, just as an aside, just to get away a little bit from Manitou and in general pontoons, is that rear facing seat, is that a problem? Is that a legal problem? What do I need to know to have a rear facing seat and have my crew who wants to enjoy that seat? What do I have to do to be safe and be legal?
So there's actually several different definitions of what RF could mean. What we define that as Manitou is, for lack of a better term, a couch on either side of the boat with a center walkway through the middle of the boat. And it wraps around the wall, then you've got a gate, wraps around again, and you've got your other couch. So that allows you to have that legal inside the walls running no matter what direction you're facing, and you can still use that entire seat. Now there's several different definitions of what RF means. It could be a backrest that looks out towards the stern of the boat that may or may not have a gate, and there's different regulations that everyone has to work to address that. We call that our SL model. Other companies call it their swing back.
Right, I want to be clear, it's not just Manitou that has aft-facing seats. I mean, but I'm saying in general for pontoons, yeah, when you some of these aft-facing lounges, you hear different things from different builders, and I'm just trying to
yeah, so what we try to do with all of our configurations is give you the most function while under power. So none of our seats at this point in time are limited to their function while under power, because we've gotten the walls to within regulation around everything.
Great answer. Garrett, you know, marine audio has become really all the rage. Not that it never was important, but lately, all the audio companies are really making a push in technology and equipment. We're reviewing more audio, I think, than we've ever reviewed as a magazine before. And all of the boats, in every style of boat that we cover is fitted with better and better and better audio. What are you seeing at Manitou Boats, and what are you doing at Manitou Boats about the increased desire for better audio from the boating public?
What we've done this year, Kevin, is we've actually split our lineup in two, and from our Aurora, Oasis, and Encore lineups, we have begun to offer the Fusion stereo systems that are owned by Garmin. And that ties into that we use Garmin digital dashboards on every single one of our boats, from our most entry-level 18-footer up to our dual-engine 27-footer with 400 Mercuries on it. We use a Garmin digital dash. And having Fusion being owned by Garmin, the integration that we're able to allow our customers to have has been really critical. And from our highest end boats, our LX and XT models, those are our big performance wakeboard tower boats. We are still using the JL audio system. We've made the JL speaker standard on those boats this year. So we've kind of drawn that line in the sand because JL has its reputation of being the ultra high-end audio system but Fusion is coming along great. We're integrating it into our lower end models and eventually going to build it up into the rest of our lineup as well.
Okay, and does the customer have an option, or do they work with the dealer, or do they work separately after purchase if they want something super duper?
So we do have options packages that include different stereo upgrades. So we have a base model stereo, for example, on the Oasis, and one of our options packages includes an upgraded head unit only that allows for a little bit more NEMA 2000 integration with your screen besides just your phone. And then above and beyond that, we add the amplifier, the subwoofer, the additional speakers, the LED kits, and some of those are available as a la carte too, so they can kind of pick and choose what stereo systems they want to build in and not force feeding that high-end dollar value unless they really want it. But we do give them the option, several different ways to configure their boats.
That's a great answer. And, you know, speaking of answers, we have some questions. We went out and through various means, we're able to get some Manitou fans and some pontoon boat fans from around the country to ask some questions. We filtered through them, and we got 3 good ones for you. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Close to home, sort of. We got Jim H. from Syracuse, Indiana. Jim wants to know, what does the lower center tube, I imagine he's talking about V-tune, what does the lower center tube on a Manitou do?
That's a great question. So we have a 27-inch diameter center tube on all of our V-tune models. And what that tube does is it allows the boat hull to be shaped more like a traditional V. So that center tube is 5¼ inches lower than the outer tubes. So when you're driving through the water, you're actually resting on most of that center tube. But when you turn left or right, you kind of pivot on that tube, and it allows the boat to lean into a turn versus that traditional pontoon feel of turn left, feel like you're running out to the right. So it's a larger center tube. It allows for higher horsepower ratings, higher flotation capacities, higher person capacities, but then it also acts as that nice pivot point, that V shape in our V-tune hull.
That's a great answer. Thanks, Garrett. All right. We had gentleman Matthew from Chicago. I met him in the airport. Wants to know, and he knew about your boats. He wants to know, what is SHP?
An even better question. So we have 2 V-tune hulls that we bring to the market. Our ultra high end is the SHP, and that stands for Sport Handling Package. What that is either a 23 or 25-inch diameter outside tubes paired with a 27-inch diameter center tube, positive angle lifting strakes on all 3 tubes for a total of 6 lifting strakes on that boat. Comes standard with C-Star power steering, and what that gives you is our most robust and highest horsepower rating on any one of our boats, and that comes in a single or dual engine configuration up to 800 horsepower.
You have the 23 and 25-inch tubes. Is that just relevant to the capacity and the horsepower? Or?
Yep. For example, a 23-footer with a 23, 27, 23-inch diameter SHP, we call that our 373. That boat is rated up to 250 horsepower. If you upgrade to the 575, 27-inch, 25-inch, 27-inch, 25-inch, that boat now becomes rated for 300 horsepower.
Gotcha.
Bigger tubes, more flotation, more power.
Garrett, tell us how all this relates to horsepower ratings.
That's a great question. So what we've got is we previously had 2 hull options. Our VP, as we've talked about before, that was traditionally rated up to 150 horsepower and came standard with hydraulic steering. We had our SHP package that came standard with power steering and was rated up to 400 horsepower on single engines and up to 800 horsepower on dual engines. Now, what we were missing was that competitively priced 200 horsepower rated 3-tube boat. Our hull jump was a substantial price increase, and when you got to a boat that was rated to 250 or above, we all know that most customers put 75 to 100% of the horsepower rating, so we were missing that 200 horsepower segment. Mm-hmm. What we've done is we've taken our VP hull, which was traditionally rated up to 150 horsepower, and added a few extra features at a very competitive price point to allow our customers to have that, call it mid to entry level, 200 horsepower 3-tube boat. So that's our VP2 package. And what we've done is we've given it larger center lifting strakes to provide more lift to account for the higher horsepower motor. We've made power steering from C-Star standard. And we've also added those Barracuda heavy duty nose cones from the SHP onto that package. So what that allows you to do is configure a boat with a 200 horsepower for a little less than half of what it would cost you the year before. So we've now completely broadened our horsepower offering on our 3-tube boats realistically to include 115, 150, 200, and then everything 250 and above at this point.
Garrett, can a Manitou customer, are they limited to the outboard brand that they must buy?
No, actually, for the first time since BRP acquired the Manitou brand, we are now able to offer Mercury, Yamaha, Honda, and Suzuki outboards for our boats. And previously, we only had the Suzuki and Honda offerings, but now that Manitou has begun to evolve our lineup, Mercury and Yamaha have enhanced their product offerings. We've been able to cultivate a new relationship with those two brands and brought back the comprehensive offering of those 4 outboards this year.
You must have some of the most well-educated riggers in the business doing 5 engines and stocking all those parts. That's amazing.
We have a very, very talented team. And what's nice about it, to be completely honest, is that the engine manufacturers are making it very simple with the digital shift and throttle systems, with the way that they can integrate into our Garmin dashboard. It's become quite easy for us to have this deep offering in outboards without sacrificing any of our production time, because the last thing we want to do is limit the number of boats or increase the time it takes to get boats to our dealers and therefore our customers by having too complex of an offering. We've been able to streamline that very well.
And then finally, we have Julie and Tom from the Big Apple, New York City. Julie and Tom want to know, they don't have a Manitou question, but they have a pontoon question. Maybe you'll address it. They want to know, can a pontoon handle rough water?
That is the age-old question, and I think everyone in pontooning today is doing a phenomenal job of addressing that and allowing these segments of boats to be used all over the country. What Manitou does specifically is when you look at our deck down construction, so that would be below the plywood decking, the metal and aluminum frame that we put together, we do not have a standard measurement on center for our cross members, which some of our competitors do. We add or remove cross members based on where we need the most structural integrity of the boat. So in the bow and the stern, we have upwards of twice as many, if you will, on the bow and stern sections of the boat where people are going to stand, where it's going to take the waves in the bow, or you put the higher horsepower engines in the stern, than we do in the center, because a lot of the other components of the boat help maintain that structural integrity in the center. So instead of just focusing on building it one way with the same number of cross members on the same length of boat, we beef up the bow and the stern. We add what we call Barracuda nose cones to our SHP hull. So those are heavy duty reinforced pontoon nose cones with extra crimps for rigidity, as well as welded side keels that allow those boats to run upwards of 70 miles an hour in 2 to 3 foot chop. So they're specifically designed for rough water handling, to be used that boat in any sort of situation that you could, from saltwater, intercoastal. There's been boats that have been ran to the Bahamas and back. They definitely can handle all sorts of water.
Another great answer, Garrett. All right, well, our time is coming to a close, but is there anything else you'd like to add about Manitou? Perhaps, are your dealers up and running? Is Manitou in full production in these trying times?
Yeah, so we gave back into production back in June. We are up and running. We launched our model year 21 product to our dealer network in the middle of July, and start of production for model year 21 units took place the beginning of September. So we are fully deployed for model year 21. We are shipping product every day. Our dealers are seeing more sales growth than they've had in years past, which has been the theme for this entire season so far. And when you look at the updates we made to our Aurora LE, adding a simplistic approach to 3-wall colors, 2 interior colors, limited number of options packages across our entire lineup. So instead of choosing a la carte, you've got kind of an automotive mentality of build this package and add on to it, take this package. It makes it much simpler to order and to build our boats. The customers have been responding very positively, and we've seen a lot of great feedback from our dealer network about how easy we have been to order, retail, and reorder in the craziness that is this time we're living in.
That's great. It's great news, Garrett. Great to hear. Garrett Koshak, Global Product Manager from Manitou Pontoon Boats. Thank you so much for joining us today. Folks, I'm Kevin Falvey. This is Boating Roundtable, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, Kevin.